It's actually that abysmal that you guys still don't understand anything about your American government and how it works. Like, it's honestly quite sad. How the hell do you guys not understand the difference between an executive order and a congressional law? One simple Google search from your government website, your congressional website, the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission website, to be exact, would gladly give you the rundown of the history of this specific congressional law that you guys are referring to. To make things a little more simpler for you, the Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1972, to be more specific, is a United States federal law which amends Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 to strengthen and protect against employment discrimination. Those laws, specifically enacted by United States Congress, and more specifically the 92nd United States Congress, those are things that Donald Trump does not have control over. He cannot revoke or create congressional laws. He has no impact or ability to tamper with congressional laws in any way. He can create executive orders as well as revoke previous executive orders from previous presidents. Presidents. Yeah. Here's a clip that I found on more specific details on what Donald Trump actually revoked.
Donald Trump has officially revoked Executive Order 11246, which is the Equal Employment Opportunity Executive Order signed by LBJ in 1965. This was a bedrock policy that had ensured equal hiring practices in the federal government for decades. LBJ's order gave the Secretary of the Labor the authority to ensure equal opportunity for people of color and women in federal contractors' recruitment, hiring, training, and other employment practices. It required federal contractors to refrain from employment discrimination and take affirmative action to ensure equal opportunity based on race, color, religion, and national origin.
So again, for all of you people in the back that didn't understand, that executive order primarily targeted, or no, solely targeted people working in the federal government. So the White House staff, the military, and federal agencies were primarily affected by this bill, which doesn't really change much in the grand scheme of things because, again, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 still exists. The Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1972 still exists. It doesn't give these, revoking these executive orders does not in turn allow these federal agencies and executive branches of government to actively discriminate against certain employees, or especially during the hiring processing. Because once again, a lot of people didn't understand the difference between an executive order and a congressional law. So once again, I'm going to show you another video that actually explains the difference and actually the definition of what an executive order is and how it differs from congressional laws. Because I can't really explain it in the best terms possible in a way that actually makes the most sense, because kind of struggling up there, but I'm going to show you right here.
So what power do executive orders actually have? Are they the same thing as new laws? Let's verify. Our sources: the Constitution, the American Bar Association, FindLaw, and the Congressional Research Service. The answer is no. Executive orders are not the same as laws passed by Congress. For one, the president has to follow laws passed by Congress, but cannot force Congress to do anything. The Constitution gives the president broad, quote, executive power. That means power over the executive branch. That's White House staff, the military, and federal agencies like the FBI or Department of Energy. Using executive orders, he can tell those agencies what to do. But this power is not limitless. The president must obey existing law, whether that's the Constitution, acts of Congress, or decisions made by the courts. The president does not have the power to repeal or change existing laws with an executive order. He does have the power to interpret laws and decide how they get enforced, and that's what many executive orders do. But those interpretations can be challenged in court, and the orders struck down if they're found to contradict the law or exceed the president's authority. Executive orders can also be repealed by the president with the stroke of a pen, whereas laws can only be repealed by Congress or struck down by the Supreme Court. So while executive orders can be used to quickly achieve some policy changes, they're limited by existing law and often only change things in the short term. Major, long-lasting changes require action from Congress. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
So yeah, the interpreting of enforcement of law part is the most integral part of these executive orders. Based on how I'm interpreting this is that Donald Trump's interpretation of these executive orders that he's revoking is the basis that these DEI programs and these affirmative action policies would encourage these federal agencies and federal companies to discriminate people during the hiring processes in favor of diversity. Whether or not you believe this to be true or if that's actually based on any type of like actual, evidence or research is completely up to you. But you should actually take the time to actually know the difference between the two things that I mentioned. This nevertheless does not excuse how some of you American people are so ignorant of your own goddamn laws and government that you don't even understand the difference between an act or congressional law and okay, I keep repeating myself over, but you should actually do some basic level research to know that this whole ordeal only affects federal workers because their laws excluded originally federal workers. But they amended it in 1972 to include federal workers. They're protected.